So our next speaker today is Justice Wharton. Justice Wharton is a retired judge from the 22nd Circuit Court in Illinois. He decided to come out of retirement to accept a role as a justice in the Fifth Appellate Court. And Justice Wharton has spoken at the Illinois CASA conferences in the past. He was very instrumental in beginning the CASA work in the counties of CASA of southwestern Illinois. And so right now I welcome you to listen to Justice Wharton.
Good afternoon. I am so honored to be asked to participate in this worthy effort. Hands Across Illinois embodies the spirit of CASA. I remember CASA programs, and probably they still are, struggling with being underfinanced, underpaid staff, but with a cadre of totally dedicated volunteers, and with dedication and commitment and concern for our young people, we have persevered, we've survived, and we're going to prosper. I would like to also say that CASA and this program embodies the spirit of volunteerism. Child abuse and neglect was first highlighted by little Mary Ann Ellen McCormick, a young lady who was beaten every day with a bullwhip by her caretaker. But the neighbors got involved. They refused to sit idly by and watch this happen. And as a result of that, we wound up with the first child care agency concerned with abused and neglected children in America. This spirit of volunteerism continued 25 years later. Right here in Illinois, the first juvenile court was established, also as a result of the efforts of volunteers. And then, of course, in 1982, the initiation of CASA. Volunteered and community directed for the benefit of our children. And I dare say that except for jury duty, there is no aspect of the court system where volunteers are more involved than CASA. I am very much a dinosaur because you will not find, I don't think, any other judge sitting on the bench at this time who had the unfortunate experience of having to sit in the juvenile court without the benefit of CASA. All the things that we talk about today, CASA being a great friend for children because social workers change, state attorneys change, guardian ad litems change, foster parents change, and the need for a special friend. I've experienced that situation. And as a result of that, I tragically tell you that children fell through the cracks, children became parents too soon, children dropped out of school. They became part of a pipeline that led into our criminal justice system, into our prisons. And unfortunately, most unfortunately, children died. We must all dedicate ourselves to expand CASA to underserved and unserved counties. We need your input as volunteers because you're outside eyes into the court system that can help us see what can be improved. How can we make the court system more inviting and less intimidating to young people? We need your advocacy as concerned citizens and voters to elevate the importance of the juvenile court. We want not just us to be aware that this is the most important court in the courthouse, but the public, the judges, the legislatures, and everyone must recognize this also. We don't want the least experienced state attorneys and judges in the juvenile court system. We want the most experience. The current pandemic that has already been discussed can only lead to more, unfortunately, abused and neglected children. However, we can take pride and be happy that we have an organization like CASA that's there for the unfortunate children who will not be, like in the olden days, forced to fall through the cracks and not have a special friend to advocate and be with them through their trying experience in the court system. I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to volunteers, the staff, and our financial supporters who have worked tirelessly to ensure that every child can develop to their full potential in a safe and nurturing environment with a special CASA friend. Please stay safe because we need you. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Wharton. And now our next speaker is retired Judge Robert Anderson. Robert Anderson recently retired after serving as a judge for 27.5 years in DuPage County. The majority of that time, he worked in juvenile court hearing child protection and delinquency cases. He says that juvenile court was his favorite assignment as a judge because it's the one place where every day he had a chance to change the future in a positive way. Judge Anderson is retired from the 18th Circuit, and he currently serves on the Illinois CASA board as one of our board members. So welcome to our virtual platform.
Thank you very much, Kristen. I'm honored to be invited today. Actually, I'm so honored that today's the first day in probably 2 months that I'm not wearing sweatpants and I actually have a suit on. So thanks for the opportunity. I want to echo some of what Justice Wharton has said in his eloquent remarks. I feel as a trial judge who sat in juvenile court, I owe an incredible debt to CASA and the CASA volunteers who appeared before me. Early in my career as a judge in juvenile court, I had a very serious child protection case. Kristen has given me a time limit. I could probably spend about 15 minutes telling you all the details, but I'm not going to. But the bottom line is that ultimately, by agreement of all parties, after the parents did everything they were supposed to do, the child was returned home to the parents. The CASA volunteer continued to monitor the situation and went to see the child on a number of occasions. And on one of those occasions, the CASA volunteer noticed that there was something wrong with the child. The child was losing weight, did not appear to be in good health, and again, it was a young child, but it appeared that the child had been seriously abused. The CASA volunteer reached out, got help, got the child to the hospital. The emergency room doctor who saw the child that day said that the child literally would have died if the child had not come to the hospital that day. The parents were not feeding or giving the child liquids, and the child was again being abused. This CASA worker literally saved the life of that child. I was the judge on that case, and I have never forgotten the impact of what that CASA worker did. All the people who volunteer as CASAs do significant work. Often it's not as dramatic as the case that I just told you about, but CASA workers provide judges information that we don't get from any other sources. The DCFS workers and the workers for other agencies that DCFS contracts with are, in my opinion, are very hardworking, dedicated people, but they are overworked and underpaid, and they have generally too many cases. The CASA volunteers are able to do things that the caseworkers are simply not able to do. And based on that, they provide us information, and by us I mean trial judges, information that is vitally important that we don't get from these other sources. And based on that information, we make better decisions. Based on that information, a child's life is changed for the better on a regular basis. So as a trial judge, and speaking on behalf of other judges who are fortunate enough to have CASA volunteers in their courtroom, we owe a great debt of gratitude to those volunteers. They do make us better judges. And I echo what Justice Wharton was saying. It is vitally important that we work to get a CASA on every single case. I'm fortunate, I worked in DuPage County, and initially when our program first started, we did not have enough volunteers, but for many years now, we've had enough volunteers so that we have a CASA on every single case. And again, it makes for better decisions. It makes for children who are returned home faster when it's appropriate to return them home. It makes for children who get permanency in other ways, if that's the appropriate way to go. So I think that we need to make sure that we work, as Justice Wharton said, to make sure that every court system in the state of Illinois has a CASA program. Again, it will make for better decisions. It will make judges will owe an incredible debt of gratitude to those CASA volunteers, but most important, it will benefit the lives of those children who are unfortunate enough to come into our system, and it will make their lives better. And as Justice Wharton was saying, often the only stability that these children have is that CASA volunteer who is with them throughout the course of the case. Often the caseworkers will change, sometimes the judges will change, sometimes the GALs will change, and that CASA worker is that source of stability. Again, I could go on, but Kristen has asked us to kind of keep our remarks relatively brief. I again want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all of the CASA volunteers and to all of the CASA programs and to the state organization for the great work that you do. And I pray that we can expand that work and get CASAs for every single child who comes into our child protection system. Thank you very much.